can the murder of Charlie Kirk teach us about political violence? And what should our response be when our ops are on the receiving end of that violence? And what, if any, responsibility do we have to be gracious in these times? I'm so glad you asked, because we're talking about it after the break.
Brokers, welcome to another episode of Brokers, where we talk about the unbelievable ish this country has done to keep us broke. Now here are your hosts, Amber and Erika.
Hey brokers, I'm Erika, and this is not Amber.
No, unfortunately.
Yeah, so I'm sure y'all probably are not surprised that Amber left me, and because I am a woman who lives in community with other good people, then I have, I don't know, do we call you a friend to the show? You've been on the show so many times. Like,
it's been like 3 times. I mean,
yeah.
It's not that many times, but...
Okay. So, y'all, we have a special guest with us today. We have Dr. Kehinde Andrews. He is, as the brokers might know, a public intellectual and scholar. He is a professor of Black Studies at Birmingham City University. Mm-hmm. He is, I guess, a UK diva of some sort, like in the in the media space.
Yes.
And a friend to the podcast. So, before we start talking about Kehinde, because this is not about you. Nope. It's not your show or anything like this. Y'all see, we're in a fancy, for those of you who are watching us, we're in a fancy studio. I feel like I made it. I feel like so rich right now.
I know, it's nice.
Like,
it is.
This is like for real.
Plush, comfortable as well.
Yeah, like this is the first time we're recording from a proper studio. So
we shout out the studio.
They're not paying us. We had to pay them. We're not shouting them out.
That's true, it is.
They didn't give us this space for free. We're not shouting out. Nobody didn't give us nothing for free. But anyway, I forgot to mention that not only are you all those other things, but you're author of many books. Your latest, Nobody Can Give You Freedom, The Political Life of Malcolm X, which he don't have a copy of. So we're in the fancy studio.
I had a copy. I spilled coffee all over it, and now I don't have a copy.
Yeah, and so we're in the fancy studio. We have all the cameras where you have the opportunity to be able to hold the book up and let it be very pretty. And then here we are, and we ain't got no book. But you know what? It is what it is.
Greatest weapon used against a Negro is disorganization.
Wow.
Marcus Garvey.
Wow. Thank you so much for that. So you're in town on this U.S. book tour. Mm-hmm. So I understand you've been to New York, you've been to D.C., you've been to Detroit, and now you're here in the city of Fort Worth with us.
Yes.
So very excited to have you in the DFW area. Mm-hmm. So welcome. Welcome to Texas. And
haven't had any barbecue yet. Not being treated properly.
You haven't had any barbecue?
Not yet.
I would just be honest about, so we were actually driving from the airport this morning, and he said he was hungry. So I was like, okay. And I get off to go to the Chick-fil-A. And yes, I know, homophobic chicken, but I was getting off. We were going to go to the Chick-fil-A. And then I just pointed out, because of all of the discourse that's been around, I was like, hey, there's Cracker Barrel. And he was like, I want to go. So why did we...
That's not exactly how it happened.
That is what happened.
You said, do you want to go to Cracker Barrel? And I went, yeah, why not?
That's not... In my recollection, I just pointed to the sign.
She said the breakfast is good. She said the breakfast is good.
For anybody who's had the pancakes at Cracker Barrel, y'all are not going to lie and say the pancakes at Cracker Barrel are not good, because the pancakes at Cracker Barrel are good.
Hey, it was good. I enjoyed my white America experience. It was wonderful. And I'm so happy they kept the sign with the cracker and the barrel. That's how they should be.
And so here's what we found at Cracker Barrel, though. Apparently, they updated some of their merchandising too soon. So, like, the menus had the new logo. Yes. The old logo with the man and the barrel,
and the barrel.
are still out there. And on the bags, they have the new logo. Yeah. Some of the bags had the old logo. Some had a new logo. So I think they're working through it.
Well, I enjoyed it. Make America great again. Keep Cracker Barrel white. That's what I'll say.
You know,
yes, I'm trying not to get deported.
This is what I'll say. The views expressed by Dr. Kehinde Andrews are not those of Erika Brown. I want to be super clear. Look, this is fancy, and I've never been, but let me look into the camera and say it. The views expressed by this man are not mine. I want to be very clear. I even gave him a good talking to before we came here, told him to be on his best behavior. We're going to see if it happens.
Hey, I don't want to get deported, so end up in El Salvador. So I'm on my best behavior.
So, y'all, by the time this show airs, I think everybody would have realized that Charlie Kirk has been murdered, right? So you have right-wing podcaster Charlie Kirk, who got murdered, and I'll give a few more of those details. But just a side note, since we are in the city of Fort Worth, I was an adjunct instructor here in the city. And it's interesting to me because I used to do an activity with my students where I asked them to create podcasts. Yeah. And so when I'm scaffolding the activity, the first things that we do is I have them identify the podcast that they listen to, strengths, weaknesses, all of that. So when I ask them the podcast they listen to, Charlie Kirk, Joe Rogan, Ben Shapiro were top of the list for the male students in the class, like top of the list both semesters when I did it. So it's interesting to me that there were so many people who've never heard of him, but if you're in certain circles, certain academic circles, and you're teaching certain university audiences, they are very familiar with him and his work. And of course, he did a lot of work on college campuses. But I am just struck by the international press and news that has been around a man who was essentially doing what we do. We podcasters. And
he does it to a different extent. Did it to a different extent.
And look, I'm thankful that Benjamin Netanyahu is not tweeting me or about me. Yeah. I'm glad to not know the man. Yeah. But it's just crazy to think about that. So anyway.
Also, my 12-year-old son knows who Charlie Kirk is, which I was really surprised.
That is insane and very scary at the same time.
Yes.
So, I mean, I don't even know what to say about that. Like, is there some incel portal that we are trying to save him from?
God, I need to get in there. I really did not. He knows who he is. He knows who, what's the other guy? Andrew Tate. They all know Andrew Tate, which again, devastating. But they weren't supporting. He wasn't supporting him, at least. He just knew who he was.
Yeah, it's really very scary. But for those of you who don't know, I'll just give a bit of background on what happened. So what day was it? It must have been September the 10th. Yes. So on September the 10th, there was a rally from Charlie Kirk's organization. And apparently he does this. He goes to
a rally from his organization. Sounds like which organization is that? But,
he goes to college campuses. Yes. I think it's called Turning Point.
It is called Turning Point. Okay. It sounds like Rally and Charlie Kirk sounds like KKK, but
I told you.
Sorry.
Please, I told you. Can you behave? So he's going to universities. This time he was at Utah Valley University. Yeah. Okay, he's at Utah Valley University. Of course, that's an overwhelmingly white university in an overwhelmingly white state with a bunch of people who are typically very religious, mostly Mormon, right? So not making all that stuff up in terms of who they are and who these specific people were at the rally. I shouldn't keep calling it a rally. At the speech, the program, the whatever it was called.
Cracker Barrel.
So the people were there, and he was actually like in the middle of saying some transphobic and I think sort of racist at the same time things.
She's intersectional. Intersectional figure.
So this is not me. Okay. So anyway, he was in the middle of speaking, and as soon as the words gang violence came out, he was shot in what appeared to be, I don't know, right? I'm not a physician, but somewhere in his neck. Yeah. And I mean, it was actually a very gruesome video. For those of you who saw the video, it was actually very gruesome and almost didn't look like it was real. Like when it happened, it almost looked like, and that's the time we live in, it looked to me like it was AI, right? Because, and all of a sudden, you could tell, or it seemed to me that it was over. But anyway, so that's what he was doing at the time when he was murdered. But before that, he is, like we said, he's a right winger. So he said a lot of really awful things about a lot of people. So I thought we'd start off by sharing
saying lots of awful things about lots of people.
Would you say?
Are we going to say lots of awful things about people?
No. I'm just going to share.
That's not a segment of the podcast. We just say awful things about people.
No. Do that on your own show. What we're going to do is we're going to say some of his greatest hits.
Okay.
Some of his off the wall greatest hits that he had. Okay. So on race, and this is from The Guardian, so I'll put this in the show notes for anybody who wants to see. If I see a black pilot, I'm going to be like, boy, I hope he's qualified. So that was Charlie Kirk in 2024. And if you're a WNBA, pot-smoking black lesbian, do you get treated better than a United States Marine? Oh. That was him in 2022. And said also, happening all the time in urban America, prowling blacks go around for fun to target white people. That's a fact. It's happening more and more.
Wow.
That was 2023.
Sounds like fun, though.
Then he said, if I'm dealing with somebody in customer service who's a moronic black woman, I wonder is she there because of excellence or is she there because of affirmative action?
Wow.
In 2024. And this is probably one of my faves. If we would have said that Joy Reid and Michelle Obama and Sheila Jackson Lee and Ketanji Brown Jackson were affirmative action picks, we would have been called racist. Not because you actually are racist, but
Maybe, yeah.
Now they're coming out and they're saying it for us. They're saying it for us. You do not have the brain processing power to otherwise be taken really seriously talking about black women. You had to go and steal a white person slot to be taken somewhat seriously. And that was in 2023.
Wow.
Okay. So that's great. On gender, feminism, and reproductive rights, responding to a question about whether he would support his 10-year-old daughter aborting a pregnancy conceived because of rape on a debate show, he answers, the answer is yes. The baby would be delivered.
Wow.
So, and on gun violence, I think this one is probably most apropos.
Most relevant, yes.
Okay. He said, I think it's worth it to have a cost of, unfortunately, some gun deaths every single year so that we can have the Second Amendment to protect our other God-given rights. That is a prudent deal. It is rational. And that was in 2023.
I mean, that is chickens coming home to roost, right?
I just can't think of anything else it could be because but here's the thing that we can say about him. He died how he lived, right? Like, yeah. So if those were his beliefs, then here we go. So, the thing that happened to me is when all this was happening, I was supposed to be writing. You know, I'm in the throes of writing this dissertation.
How is that going, by the way?
It's going. It's just a laborious, time-consuming process, but that's okay. So I'm going through this process, and so the day was over for me because, of course, I'm on Twitter because that's just where I'm going to go. And I'm on Twitter looking at all the discourse, seeing what's happening. And I went to go see what our black leaders...
Oh, God. Who are our black leaders? That's the question.
Look, the people who other people would say are our black leaders.
Okay. Jay-Z?
So, shut up. Let me give you some examples of what they had to say.
Okay.
Let's try Senator Cory Booker. Shout out to Cory Booker for getting engaged. Like,
so he got engaged?
Yes.
To a white woman?
I don't know the ethnic background of the woman that he is engaged to.
I don't know either.
Okay.
And does it matter?
It doesn't matter.
It does, but yes.
So this
Black
is what
lives matter.
This is what Senator Cory Booker had to say. We must call political violence what it is, evil and an attack on our most fundamental values. The shooting of Charlie Kirk in Utah must be condemned by all. My heart is with Charlie Kirk, his family, and those who are impacted. Okay? Mm-hmm. Stacey Abrams, who we know was a candidate for governor in Georgia, and she says political violence has no place in our country. No matter who we are or what we believe, no one should fear for being shot for their politics. My thoughts are with Charlie Kirk's family in this horrifying moment. Okay? New York Attorney General Letitia James. Okay. The shooting of Charlie Kirk in Utah today is horrific. Political violence has no place in it. And I feel like, did they... they got the same speechwriter. Like, everybody is saying the exact same thing. Political violence has no place in our country, yada, yada, yada.
Yeah.
Maryland Governor Wes Moore, who a lot of people say is like Obama's second coming, potentially. So that's a thing.
Is that a thing? Isn't that the apocalypse in that?
Look, he said, I condemn in the strongest possible terms the attack on Charlie Kirk this afternoon. As I have said in the past and will continue to say, political violence is never acceptable. Yeah. And, because we were talking about Obama.
Obama, of course. Jeez.
We don't yet know what motivated the person who shot. This was, of course, before Charlie Kirk was presumed dead or known to be dead and killed Charlie Kirk. But this kind of despicable violence has no place in our democracy from Obama. That's insane.
Mr. Drone himself.
Michelle and I will be praying for Charlie's family tonight, especially his wife. And I hate that her name is Erika with a K, too. That just bothers me so much.
Wow, she's the white Erika.
Now, this is the last one. I'll stop here.
Okay.
And then we'll get to the questions. From Martin Luther King III.
Sorry, because does that mean he's his grandson, his son? How does that work with the third? Like when he's the third,
a son.
He's a son. So
yeah, because MLK
he was
Jr.
and then okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So this is MLK's son. Violence, no matter the target or justification, is never the answer. The shooting of Charlie Kirk is not only a tragedy for one man, it is a wound to the soul of our nation. It may silence a voice, but it cannot change a heart or heal a nation.
You have to read it like Martin Luther King to make that to have the
While I strongly disagree with Charlie Kirk on most issues. Yeah. Well, what issues did you agree with him on? Anyway.
Oh, that's interesting. The transgender ones, he probably agreed. Let's take a guess.
Okay, probably. For sure. Yeah. Especially his comments about my father. So you admit that he had shit to say about your daddy. But you... Okay, he goes, we all agree that political violence is inexcusable.
Again.
Disagreements must be addressed through civil conversations and free, fair elections. We must reject hatred and division and remember the sacred dignity in every person. I'm not going to go on. He praying for him and his family, all that kind of stuff.
It's like cosplaying his father, I think we'd say.
And also I had Van Jones, who, hey.
Did he cry? Was he in tears?
Probably was in tears, but we will move on. So, you heard in many of those statements this term political violence.
Yeah.
And so I just want to talk first about what, in your opinion, is political violence. And then we'll also talk about, tell me what Malcolm had to say about political violence.
Well, I mean, I think it's insane that we would say this when America is arming Israel, who is literally committing a genocide.
Right now.
Today, committing a genocide, which is clearly political violence. The idea that, what is political violence? This is the irony, right? Political violence, the state has a monopoly of violence. So when the state commits horrendous acts of violence, and America is produced by the most horrendous acts of violence that ever existed on the planet, the genocide of the natives, slavery, the rest, all of it, that somehow is not seen as violence. But when one lone shooter shoots somebody, that is political violence. It's complete. Anybody who says that political violence has no place in America is just a
doesn't know America.
Doesn't know America at all. I mean, what does H-Rap Brand say? Violence is as American as cherry pie, right? That's what makes the thing, right? So
that's how you get to have America be what it is today.
Yeah, of course it is. It's just sustained by violence. It's the most violent country that's ever probably existed. The idea that Obama droning people doesn't count. Bombing weddings, that doesn't count as violence.
He said there's no place for political violence.
He went to didn't he support Libya? I'm confused. Like, you literally, a president who committed many acts of violence, killed probably tens of thousands of people, says there's no place for political violence.
But to your point, the state also determines what violence is. They get to tell us what is legal and what is not legal, right? So they get to make those determinations. So of course they can say that it's not political violence.
You can say you can justify it, but surely you'd have to say it's still violence. ICE going and grabbing people off the street, that's political violence, surely.
Absolutely. I agree with you that I think it is. Like, I don't think we're in dispute, but I'm saying from the perspective of the state, as the ones who determine the things that are legal and that are not, they would say that that's not political violence, right? That's just maintaining law and order.
Well, I guess we should push back and say that clearly is political violence.
For sure. And I think that's one of the great things I hope comes out of this conversation is for us to think about what political violence is beyond just seeing one person get shot, to your point, right? So I saw on social media that there were a couple of people saying Charlie Kirk wasn't an elected politician. This could not be political violence. I actually do think that his murder was political violence. And I think his murder was political violence because of all the hatred and racism and transphobia and homophobia and all of the sexism, all of the things that he stoked in his base, right? All of those students and all the places where he was going. I think that those words are violent. I think when you stand before thousands of people and you say this kind of stuff, that is a political stance and it is violent towards certain communities. And so, I don't know. What do you think? Is his murder political violence?
Well, I mean, it depends why he was killed, right? I mean, it comes down to, like, was he killed because of what he said? Or was he killed for other reasons? We actually don't know why he was killed.
We don't know, but let's intuit that he was killed because of his mouth. And here's the thing. There are lots of people that I'm seeing on social media now are saying because some people are suggesting that maybe he was murdered because he didn't go far enough in his right-wing rhetoric. Yeah.
Oh, wow, really?
So yes.
That's diabolical.
That there are folks who said that he was a bit too moderate from a right-wing perspective, and so they wished. That's what I'm seeing, right? I don't, just like you said, we don't know. That
would be. Does it make it political violence? I mean, I don't know. Partly because I actually didn't comment on this at all on social media, and the tweet I wanted to put out was chickens coming home to roost, right? Because this is exactly what chickens coming home to roost is. But that's from Malcolm in '63. That's about President John F. Kennedy's. You know, who obviously I don't like the president, but that's clearly a role where he was involved in killing lots of people. So that chickens coming home to roost is a real thing. Whereas Charlie Kirk, he's a celebrity, right? He's a podcaster. He's largely
a podcaster
rhetoric. It's not
who is flying on what is it, Air Force 2, if that's the name of, right? He's going to what do they call it, Lion State, right? In terms of his funeral.
So he's in Lion State. Oh, God, is he?
Yes, he has. Again, he's had world leaders commenting on his death. So it's not, and world leaders and political leaders in this nation, all those people that I shared, most of those people that I shared are political leaders.
The Prime Minister of the UK said he thought it was horrendous. I mean, but
so
are we overplaying him though? I mean, it reminds me of the first thing actually the reason I didn't put the tweet out is because I remember this Chris Rock joke when he's talking about the killing of Biggie and Tupac. And he's saying, people are saying Biggie and Tupac were assassinated. And he's like, look, JFK was assassinated, Malcolm X was assassinated, King was assassinated. Them two niggas got shot. Like, why are we elevating people who really are in that lane? And that's a worry with Charlie Kirk, is that the aftermath of this is elevating him to a position that he shouldn't really have.
Oh, for sure.
He's
the
a talking
martyrdom
head.
is there.
I mean, he's a talking head. He's not a serious figure, right?
No, he's not. And I agree with you that people are doing too much in terms of deifying him, because I saw this really crazy tweet, and it had JFK, it had MLK, it had Charlie Kirk, and it had Jesus. And I don't know who else was on there. And I'm like, y'all. And people, like the people tweeting this out are quite serious, saying like, these are all people who died for their words. Like, okay, come on now.
Wow. So I'm saying this, the actual aftermath is worse than the thing, I think, where he's become something I just don't think he was he?
I don't think that he was what he has become. Yeah. But to me, he was still a very dangerous figure. And I think still had the power to radicalize people, to me, in a way that is very scary.
But so the thing is, Charlie Kirk's gone there. Someone will replace Charlie Kirk.
Sounds like his wife. I think Erika has basically said, y'all ain't seen nothing yet. And that's another thing. So actually, let's go there, right? There were a lot of people who were saying, how can you all make light of this situation? He had a wife, he had kids, and there were other people on social media that goes, when I die, I hope that the nicest thing that someone can say about me is not that I had relatives. Right? Like, that's it. But a lot of people have wife and kids. Most men who are 30 have had a wife and kids.
It's not really an achievement, like you say, have wife and kids.
He's not unique in that. And also, I think it sort of takes away the culpability of what he was doing in terms of his life. And also, we make it seem like women are just these docile figures in the home and who don't have any politics of their own, and that it makes it sound like Erika was almost just sitting around and just living under his thumb and didn't share his beliefs. Erika said, no. We're going to keep going on tour.
Yeah, keep going.
I'm going to keep being racist on my dead husband's behalf.
On his behalf.
And y'all come out and see us. Yeah. So talk to me about like how we allow the role of father to sort of cast a different light on people in their death, and then also the role that women play in whatever these political areas are.
Yeah, it's ways to, you want to humanize people, right? Like, he's a father, he's not, because you look at all those quotes you get.
He didn't want to humanize George Floyd.
Well, no, but that's the irony, right? Look at all the quotes. He's a horrible, despicable person. Like, you can't be saying all those things and be a nice person, right? So the counter to that is, you're a family man, you're a father. Is he a good father? Who knows? God knows. He's just a father, right? He has a wife at home, and they're trying to humanize him in that sense. It's the counter to and remember, it's the right. It's all about family values. This is a real white man. He has a real white family, and the wife is the whole white. The wife, the family is part of that image, right?
Sure.
That good American.
Sure.
We've lost a good American, and so also it's heavily it's heavily patriarchal, right? The
Yes.
idea that the wife just stays at home.
I mean, he's a religious man. So.
Yeah, it's Christian, right? But doesn't believe in empathy. But hey, that's
Not at all. But here we are supposed to pour it out for him.
But that's the irony, right? The man who doesn't believe in empathy believes you should have lots of guns and people need to die for gun violence and Second Amendment. Question is, why would we care? Like, I'm not being mean. I'm happy he's dead, but why should I care? People die all the time. People die. A child dies every 10 seconds because they haven't got access to food and water. Death is the reality, right? So I'm not sure why I'm supposed to care.
Are you asking me why you should care?
No, I really am. But partly rhetorical, but the idea that we should care and we should post sympathy and we should comment on it, why?
I don't think that we should care in the sense that we should have empathy, right? I cannot have empathy for somebody who wouldn't have had empathy for me in real life, right? Like it's hard. I can't do that. I told you I care just because of what's happening now, and I care because of what he was doing in his life. Because then that means I don't know, I can't call myself an educator because I'm not doing that. But
you educate, you teach. You write articles published
as a
author.
Former teacher,
Published
former
author.
Professor. Shout out to me, y'all. I need to tell y'all, I did get my first article published. For me and Kendall publishing our first article. There you go. Yay. But I had to deal with the ramifications of the Charlie Kirkification of my students, right?
Yeah.
Like, I was teaching social problems, and social problems are inherently political. And in some of my reviews, my students said that I made the class too political. Well, y'all, social problems are inherently political. I don't know how I can unpoliticize them. And so that's why it's important to me, because I'm thinking he had a bit of a grip and a hold on these university students. And then now what does it mean? Because we've turned him into a martyr. And so now I feel like he's even going to have a more important role in his death than he did in his life. And what does that, like, I'm scared for that.
Yeah, but I think one of the things he's thinking about political violence and who did the killing, that'd be a really bad idea from the left. Like, you've actually turned him into something he really wasn't before.
Right,
He was popular.
right.
Now he's like a state, like people around the world. He's actually, if this was someone from the left, this is a terrible thing to do. He just made it worse.
And again, what I've been seeing, and I don't know if it's right, is that people are like, that man was not far enough right.
Yeah.
And so because of that, we had to go in and take care of it.
Wow. And if that's the case, then that worked, right? Unfortunately.
I maybe just in terms of rallying all of these people now who are going to continue to hold up the mantle of Charlie Kirk, because now he has again been made a martyr. So we know that across history, right, there have been a ton of people who have died for their political views, right? You wrote a whole book about Malcolm X, so we know people have died for their political views. Do you think they should die for their political views? Do you think that we should take up arms against people who have political views that don't align with our own?
I think what did Huey Newton call it? Revolutionary suicide. I think the idea that people are not going to be killed for their political views is a strange one. I think if you have a political view, you go and put yourself out there, understanding this system is the most violent system that's ever existed. We're always taking a chance that you're going to be killed, right? I mean, Malcolm's a perfect example of someone who knew he was going to be killed and carried on anyway.
But do you think white men have that same understanding or expectation?
Maybe they should, right? But white men get killed too, right? Presidents get killed. People get Charlie Kirk potentially got killed for his views. You're in the line of fire, right? If you put yourself if you are going to put yourself out in that platform, publicly available, talking that trash or talking anything, you're putting yourself out there and you're in danger of being killed. Is that right? I don't know, but it's definitely the truth. And so, I mean, Malcolm said, like, I live like a man who is dead already. Like, understanding that if I'm going to do this is a thing that could potentially happen to me. So right. If it happens to you, I don't think we should be like, this is so outrageous.
Shocking. We can't believe it.
It happens quite regularly.
What they say, talk shit, get hit.
Exactly.
I mean, to your point, I guess it's always a possibility that
but
could happen.
The thing for me, the problem, okay, maybe slightly controversial. If this is from the left,
I told you.
No,
don't start nothing over here.
No, but think about political violence. It's usually the right that does the right or the irony of all ironies. If you think about most political violence, it's not leftist violence. Usually, it's right wing mainstream. Who are we killing? We're killing Malcolm. We're killing Martin Luther King. We're assassinating leaders across the world. Assassinating communists. Bombing Palestinians. Like, it's actually usually not us doing the violence, right? And as another question you could ask is, should we be using political violence more effectively? Right?
We're not going to ask that question. Today, we're not asking that question. Today.
Killing Charlie Kirk is nonsensical. That makes no sense, right? But when Biden was in power, you have a problem on the Supreme Court. Could have solved it with a bit of political violence. That's the kind of the way we should be thinking about
the
political
views
violence.
expressed by Kehinde Andrews are not those.
All I'm saying is black on black violence needs to be a thing, but when it comes to Clarence Thomas, nobody wants to do the right thing. Come on.
Wow. So in times like this, I'm reminded of the fox and the wolf. Mm-hmm. As I think about the Democrats and the Republicans in their response to what happened. Because there's almost like a coming together, a kumbaya, if you will. And so talk to us about what Malcolm had to say about the fox and the wolf. And if you think that this is a good comparison that we can make for what's happening here.
With Kirk. Mm-hmm. I mean, yeah, so I think Malcolm's... The fox and the wolf, like the wolf is the bloody jawed wolf, as Malcolm calls it, the racist who shows you they're being racist, bare their teeth, says things like Charlie Kirk. You kind of know, like, that's the wolf, Trump's the wolf, very, very, very much the wolf, and they're easy to hate, if you like. They're easy to not like. They're easy to rally against. But more dangerous for Malcolm was actually the fox, right? It was that person who bared their teeth, but in a smile, or singing in churches and knowing rap lyrics and NBA and all this. But they're still gonna. Well, it says either way, fox or wolf, you still end up in the doghouse. You're still gonna get eaten. Right. So again, like thinking then about political violence and who are the targets of political violence. The wolves are easy, but actually the foxes are much more dangerous. Right, much more dangerous. You can say that Charlie Kirk's done damage to America. I'd say Barack Obama did far more damage to America than Charlie Kirk. One, he was more powerful. Two, he's the fox. Right. You actually think. You think it improved. How many people I've talked to, even recently, things got better.
My
under
forever
Obama.
president, my forever first lady. Love them.
See them on murals. I've been walking around like DC, and you see them on murals everywhere, and it's like that's far more insidious because we actually think something was good about the Obama era, right? At least with Charlie Kirk, you know he's not your friend. You know he's not for you. So yeah, that's that. And the way that we think politically has to change, I think, because we put these figures like Kirk and Trump and we rally against them, but we won't have the same energy for Obama. I'm not saying we should kill Obama. Really, I just want to stress that. I'm not saying that.
No, we're not saying you should kill anybody.
I don't think
we're not saying you should kill anybody.
Yeah, because that's the other thing about violence is political violence has to be used in the correct way. So
strategically.
Yeah. So Malcolm's someone who talked about violence a lot, but never actually committed any violence. Because it didn't make sense, right? It wasn't a strategic thing to do. Malcolm's violence was the violence of self-defense, right? You come to my house with a gun, I'm going to come out with a gun.
Which is, to me, not even violence. If I'm defending myself, how is that violent at all?
It's not violence, right? And illegally, that's not violence, right? If you defend yourself, it's self-defense.
If you have the right skin color and you're in the right state.
But technically, if you defend yourself, it's allowed, right?
Right.
And even overplayed in the civil rights movement. Civil rights movement, that notion that you will defend yourself from harm, that was prevalent in the civil rights movement. And non-violence was a strategy of the marches themselves. So when you are marching, you will not defend yourself. You will go for it. And it's a spectacle, and they want to show the world you being beaten, etc., etc., etc. But when they're sleeping in the South, they've got armed guards. They're not stupid. They're not going to. The Klan come to lynch Martin Luther King. He's going to go, okay. Don't be ridiculous. That's not going to happen.
Right.
Apparently, King slept with a gun under his pillow.
Yeah.
Because off camera, of course you're going to defend yourself, right? So the violence Malcolm's talking about mostly was self-defense. But he was in favor of more proactive violence, but in revolutionary places. So on the African continent, he'd say, yes, be violent because you can take over the state. Whereas in America, us being violent in that sense is just going to get us killed.
It's not going to end well.
It's not something you would do, which is why Malcolm never picked up the gun and said, let's go try and seize the state. That's ridiculous, right? So thinking about violence, it's how violence is a perfectly legitimate tool to be used, but it has to be used in the right way. Right, assassinating Charlie Kirk is a bad use of political violence. Or actually, not even assassinating. Shooting Charlie Kirk is a bad use of political violence.
But you think it was political violence, though, because you just said that.
If it's political violence, it could have been beef. Who knows? Maybe the guy didn't like him. Maybe the guy's mentally ill. Like, it doesn't always have to be. It could have been anything. But let's say it was politically motivated. If it was from the left, it was a bad.
And that's the thing that's so fascinating to me is that everybody knows that he wasn't shit because everybody's running to the political violence. Like, nobody's even entertaining that this could be for any other reason than he just wasn't shit. And I'm like, that's how you know that the thing is the thing, because nobody's like, well, maybe. It's like, nope, that's political violence because Charlie, that mouth. Anyway, I don't know if you heard the day after, there were all of these threats on the campuses of HBCUs that came out after the murder. And I think, let's be real clear. This murder happened at Utah Valley University in the state of Utah. If a black person had been there, they would have found them so fast.
Imagine.
Like, come on now. That wasn't the right disguise. To be black wasn't the right disguise.
Black could not get in with a gun. Anyway,
so,
let's be real.
We all knew, right, that this was not somebody black. But before, the threats came out before they had actually apprehended the suspect, right? So, talk to me about why you think it would make sense for there to be threats on campuses of HBCUs for a murder that we can pretty much rule out black people as the ones who committed it.
Because whiteness is a psychosis. It's not rational.
Is this you plugging your book?
Oh,
the
yeah.
Psychosis
You can
of
buy
Whiteness?
The Psychosis of Whiteness online, all good retailers right now. But really, it's a psychosis. It's not rational. So you see this thing happen and they immediately think about us, even though it's very obviously nothing to do with us. We're not there. Because that's always the threat, right? We're the threat and therefore the responsibility.
Ontologically the threat.
Exactly, right? So, and even people people were worried about me. Like, oh, they're going to have reprisals. They're going to be attacking black people. Like, that's odd because it's not black people. But that just shows you the level to which the whiteness isn't really rational, right? Like, and think about guns. Second Amendment is predominantly because of black people. They're afraid of black people. The reason there's so many guns is because they're afraid of black people. If we weren't here, you wouldn't be having all these guns. So the gun issue is so tied intrinsically to black people. Anytime it comes up,
they just like it.
They like. I mean, not just so the frontier as well. So natives, because they just shoot the natives. But really, it's about us, right? Gun ownership. If you look at the spike in gun ownership, it's very much around urban threat, etc., right? Look at the idea of patrol armed militia. What do you think armed militia? What the armed militia doing? Slavery. That's a slavery armed militia. They don't want uprisings. Whole thing. If we weren't here, like the UK and America, the only difference is that slavery happened in the Caribbean, so we're not there, right? So because there's no black people really in England for centuries, they don't have this existential fear. They don't have to worry, and so there's no guns. I promise you, black people, if we had the same situation with millions of black people in England for like 300 years,
y'all just wouldn't be having pocket knives. You'd have some guns.
There would be lots and lots and lots of guns. It's black people. Gun issue is a black issue, which is why they defend it so heavily. And then even if you look at the rhetoric around crime, you know it's about black people, right? It's all about black people. So I'm not surprised the first thing they think to is, let's attack the HBCUs. We want revenge. And even if, I promise you, even if this isn't anything to do with us at all, it will still be spun as this is something to do with us.
And I've been trying to figure out how they're going to do that. How would you imagine that they would make this be about us?
Well, let's say he was from the left persuasion, yeah. Then what's his woke, right? He likes niggas, nigga lover, right? So he's doing it for us, even though he's not us. That'll be the logic.
Okay, he was trying to free us.
Exactly, he's on our side, not on your side. Or yours, but if he's right wing and it turns out that he just wasn't right wing enough, that would be interesting.
Well, I just think it'll just go away.
Yeah, we won't talk about it again.
Yeah, I think they'll just let it fall. And it's interesting in the interviews, it's only been a couple of days, but in the interviews that Trump has had, he's like, basically Charlie Kirk, who I'm on other things. Like he's so unbothered by all of it. Trump is just like, I've moved on to the next thing. Like he just doesn't care. Like. Yeah. And I find that to be interesting.
Well, maybe he knows more than we know, and that's why he doesn't gauge live.
Yeah.
Move on.
So I think that they are moving past it. And then, of course, if I put on my tinfoil hat, there are people who've been saying that I think that Charlie Kirk was pushing for the release of the Epstein files, and so that was also getting to be a little bit uncomfortable for some people. I don't know. These are all conspiracy theories. I do not know. And unless, what's his name? Tyler Robinson. Some people said that they did think. Did y'all think for 1 second he might have been black with the name Tyler Robinson? No, I think that's his name. Something like that.
He sounds. He could be.
He's not.
He's definitely not black.
But anyway, maybe if he talks to us. Now, did you hear that his father was a member of law enforcement, but also like a member of the clergy? I don't know if they were Mormon, but maybe he was like had some sort of a leadership position in the church. But from what I understand, maybe his dad, Tyler's dad, recognized him from the video. And then when Tyler went back home, his dad convinced him to try to turn himself in. But his dad went and got a member of the clergy. And I think the member of the clergy, as I read, so this may not be true, right, went and contacted the U.S. Marshals. So do you think, this is completely unrelated to any of this, but as a father, if you know your son does something like this, an act of political violence, do you invite the authorities in, or like what do you do?
Well, I'm black, so I ain't going to the police. Like, snitches get stitches, right? Like, you know what I mean? But no, would you? I mean, no, I mean never, right? But that's because of our relationship to the police. I guess if you believe the police, you believe in the state, you believe in.
But maybe. If you saw, and I'm sure his dad saw what we saw, it's not good. Like, you don't think that there's anything, you don't think that you can get yourself out of this. Like, what kind of story do you spin? But
maybe he's trying to look after him too, though. I mean, it's better to go in than to be apprehended. Because you could get shot, right? I don't know.
Maybe you won't end up alive when they take you in.
Yeah, well, no, he's white, so he'd have been fine.
they don't tend to kill. Burger King. I'm trying to remember who was that they offered Burger King to after they. Was it Dylan Roof? I think it might have been Dylan Roof that they offered Burger King to.
But there's no loyalty in those families. See, Malcolm said lots of things about white people, and I won't say the word, but it begins with D, ends with evil.
Anyway, let's keep going. So Malcolm had a lot to say about the white liberal. Yes. And I have been seeing a lot about that on social media in terms of some of the people that you would consider to be, and I don't mean you specifically, but that people would consider to be woke, anti-racist, people who would be almost, not, maybe progressive. I'll give them as far as progressive. And we've seen them, and they've also been tweeting about political violence and the horror of. So tell us about what Malcolm said about the white liberal and what we can learn from that today.
Well, the white liberal is the worst, right? Always the white liberal is the worst.
You hate the white liberal more than you hate somebody like Donald Trump.
Yes. Honestly, because Donald Trump, at least Malcolm knew that at least with the wolf, you know where you stand. Like, there's no you're not trying to work with them. You just know where they stand. You can deal with them. You can work with them. You just know what they are, right? Mm-hmm. Whereas the white liberals posing as your friend. These people are supposed to be with you, right? They're supposed to be supporting you. And then they're talking the same nonsense, same talking points, political, all this nonsense. There's nothing worse than getting into bed with the devil, right?
Probably not. I'm like,
Hey, if you get in bed with the devil, you're going to get fucked, right? Let's just be real. You got to keep them well outside the door. But no, you see, so that's why Malcolm's analysis is so important, because if in this age of allyship, bond allyship. We don't need allyship. We need some new allies with ourselves. That's what Malcolm says. We need allies with ourselves. Stop seeking allies elsewhere. Seek allies with ourselves. Rely on ourselves. That's who we should be relying on. And unfortunately, actually, now probably more than back then, it's probably worse now because you have black liberals, right?
We went through a whole
cast of them, right? The whole same talking point. Political violence has no place in that. Come on.
Shout out to the one speechwriter for all the black liberals who came in and told everybody what they had to say. Shout out to them.
They're the worst. Actually, they're the worst. Malcolm, actually, I think there was definitely some back in the day that Malcolm couldn't stand, but now there's a proliferation of black liberals, and they're the most dangerous because we really think that we can believe in them. Cory Booker, come on. Come on.
Look, didn't Cory have to put on his diaper that one time when he was just filibustering for 26 hours? To what end?
To no end. We just don't do nothing means. We just don't do just I'm going to talk a lot. I mean, that is what he does. He talks a lot. So I guess his one super skill is to just hot air. He blew out for lots and nothing changed. That's your black liberal. You don't get nothing from it.
So how is today different than the era of Malcolm X? If we think about the rolling back of sort of the rights and privileges from the civil rights era and how many of those things are literally under attack right now. I think the Supreme Court has not yet taken up, but may take up this idea of racial profiling. So far, they've said it's okay if you stop people because they look like they might be Mexican, they speak with an accent, they are speaking Spanish, and they're working in certain places. It's kind of okay for y'all to go and grab them up. So, how is this era different? Is it worse? Like, where are we? I just can't figure out. I can't wrap my arms around and my brain around where we are politically now.
It's worse. It's worse for a number of reasons. One of those.
Is it okay? So, because a lot of times when people say it's worse, I feel like that might be hyperbole. Because let's think about what might have been happening in the 60s, right? Like, think about the potential of you having physical violence enacted against you by the state.
Yeah.
And as I'm saying this, maybe it's not the chances are not greater than they were now. It's just a different form. It's shape shifted.
Well, I mean, police brutality is worse. That's definitely worse. There's no doubt about it. Mass incarceration is worse.
Yeah, but aren't there some rights that we? And I know you're not, from the U.S., but just I feel like there are certain rights and privileges. I don't walk around being afraid, like if I stare somebody white in the eye that. Like, or a black man, if he stares a white woman in the eye, that somebody.
Yeah, we can go to Cracker Barrel and it's fine, right? Like, yeah, great. It made progress. Go and eat at a Cracker Barrel. No, I mean, the thing that's changed, and it's really not, there's two things that changed. Okay. The main thing that's changed is that kind of overt racial prejudice. Yeah. Which, same in England, we had to deal, my parents had to deal with. Right. We don't really have to deal with it too much. It happens, but it's rare.
But the structural said, come here.
It's exactly the same. But the big other thing that changed, which is why I say it's worse, is, Malcolm warned us about this token integration. You'll get token integration. Mm-hmm. You'll get house Negroes will be let in. You'll get people like myself, right? Professor, wonderful, you be like me, etc. And that'll make the masses think that we're making progress. So we think we made progress because you have a black president. That is not a mark of progress. The mark of progress is unemployment figures, it's income inequality, it's health, it's lots of, and those things have actually not got better. In some instances have actually got worse. Right. But now we're looking at the Cory Bookers, all these black liberals, and saying, look, we've made progress. And then they become the leaders. So you said, who's the black leaders? A bunch of people who have not got your interests at heart, unfortunately. And then even look at the Supreme Court. At least when the Supreme Court back in the day was white people being racist. Now the most racist one is Clarence Thomas. Like the most racist Supreme Court justice is the black man who replaced Thurgood Marshall, which is really insane when you think about it. Right? It's worse because the reason it's worse is because the prospects for change are worse. When Malcolm was alive,
because the people are just sort of anesthetized. Yes. To the idea, because I'm cozy enough, right? I'm driving around, I'm living in the suburb, I'm feeling real good about things, and
the things that we want. That's probably the worst thing about the civil rights movement. It's very successful, the most successful movement of all time, which is why Malcolm of
counterinsurgency. You mean?
You think about what the civil rights want: voting rights, want access to stuff, wanted desegregation, has even get affirmative action. You really get everything you want. Like the things you say, look, we want these things, those things happen. Yeah, everything's the same or worse. Right, so it's really successful, but actually it didn't change anything. Well, that's the problem, right? And what it's done is it's made us believe that that's the only route, right? More integration into America, more can we just be better Americans? And all the politics now, ADOS, FBA, all this stuff. How can we be better Americans? How can we fit more into America? When that's always the problem. The problem is America. Trying to be American is the problem.
America is always the problem.
America is the social problem we should be talking about.
Yes, that is true. So as we sort of wrap up and think about this idea of political violence, and we think about Malcolm X, and we think about moving forward, right? Because hopefully Malcolm did not just die for nothing. And hopefully with things like your book and exposing people to the actual political thoughts and views of Malcolm X, that will be helpful. But, in a very cheesy way, where do we go from here, right?
That's the title of a Martin Luther King.
Yes, it is. It is. But seriously, right? We should always be going somewhere. Mm-hmm. And so where do we go from here?
Well, I mean, I think I'd reframe it and where can we go from here? Because we could go many places. We'd probably go worse.
Where should we go from here?
Where should we go? Yeah, where should we go from here? We should understand that, look, it's a dead end, right? Like, if you think about, and again, if you appreciate Malcolm properly, we understand that he's essentially a prophet of what happens if civil rights is successful. It's 100% lays it out. It says token integration, second class citizenship, a few house Negroes, handpicked people, but all of it's there, right? So he
Here
told
we are.
us.
Look around.
Look, exactly.
Look at you.
Look at the surroundings. Yes, I got my work to pay for me to come and do a book tour in America about Malcolm X. Look at that, the house Negro, extraordinary.
You made it.
And what he tells you, say, look, if you go down this road, it's going to end. This is where it's going to end up.
Mm-hmm.
And I think young people are getting it. This is why you have Black Lives Matter movement. This is why you have people being upset. This is why you have. I think we're understanding it's a dead end. Maybe, hopefully. I'm trying to be optimistic.
Okay.
But
okay. There's always room. We should always leave room for optimism.
Yes. If you think of the metaphor as a road, we basically went down a dead end street, and now we're at the end of the street. Everybody knows we're at the end of the street. What do? You turn around, go the other way, go back to the moment we were at, and then take the revolutionary road. It's revolution or reform. It's not both. Stop talking about that both nonsense. It's revolution or reform. We took the wrong turn. Go back to Malcolm's politics. Maybe we can go back down the revolutionary road. Maybe, potentially.
Gotcha. Well, Kehinde, thank you for joining me. Thank you for being here to connect these dots for us. Thank you for stepping in for Amber, who, often leaves me by myself. Doing things that she should be doing.
She's busy. She got a life.
She is. She got 18 kids, and she's taking them here and there to basketball and all the other things that they have to do. So
we didn't celebrate your published author, Erika Brown.
We did. I just did. I celebrated myself. I even gave myself the air horns. I said, burr, burr, burr.
Yeah, but you glossed over it. It was a big thing.
Yes.
What's your article entitled?
You think I remember the name of the?
You wrote it. I think you do.
I don't know, but it's good. Y'all should go read it.
I don't know if it's good. You should read it. Where was it published?
When financial knowledge isn't power.
Okay.
When financial knowledge isn't power. And it's actually an open source article, so anybody can go ahead and read it. It's from an academic journal called Sociology Compass. Mm. So there you go. And it is authored by me and also Kendall Riley. So there you go.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Even though I'm not going to be an academic, it's still...
This is not true.
I'm just checking the box.
You are going to be an academic. We need you to be an academic.
I'm checking the box. So I love that.
Professor Brown.
But let that be the homework for today. Yeah. Actually, is for y'all to go read my article. Exactly. Yeah. When financial knowledge isn't power. Written by me and Kendall Riley. So yeah, go check us out on Sociology Compass. So that's it. So y'all, Malcolm gave us the blueprint for how we should deal with and respond to political violence. And while we don't have to dance on people's graves, you can if you want to. We don't have to be sad when those who mean us harm end up on the other side of their poor choices. Black people live in a constant state of political violence, from poverty, ill health, poor education, and that's not likely to change. So we don't have to have this faux outrage for folks who wouldn't spit on us if we were on fire. And so when chickens come home to roost, we don't have to act surprised. Thanks for tuning in. We look forward to catching up with you on the next episode of Brokish.
All right, good people. Thanks for listening to Brokish. For more episodes, visit us at brokish.com or subscribe, and Brokish will get direct deposited into your favorite podcast app on the 1st and 15th. Share Brokish with your friends and join the conversation on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. Music for Brokish is Come Get Some by Blank and Kit. Until next time, goodbye and good luck.